What's up guys, welcome back to Paint That Model. Today we're going to be looking at this Kroot flesh shaper. And today is a very special episode because I guess you would call it this is my Christmas episode. Currently it's the 28th right now, so I'm a little late to the game, but that's okay, it's the holiday season nonetheless. So today we're going to be taking a look at how I'm going to be painting this Kroot flesh shaper. I'm going to be painting it in my traditional Kroot scheme with pallid bone, such as you can see here, as a base color for all of the skin. Once I base the skin in pallid bone, I will be using a wash to give it some variety, as I've done several times on my channel before. Go check out those videos. And again, a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, whatever you guys celebrate. Yeah, just have a good time off, take care of your family, see your family at least, and enjoy yourselves, guys. So this is the standard Kroot paint scheme that I'm doing with the bright orange hair. Or quills, whatever you want to call it, hair or quills. I guess either or. I think the bright orange on the quills really stands out for this type of scheme. It really makes the whole model pop, and especially when you hit the smaller quills on the arms and legs and the rest of the body. In this case, his beard. He has a nice quill beard in this model, which I like a lot. That you can see me painting here. So I think this bright orange really makes it stand out. Then I'll take some hardened leather, which, as you can see, this was the episode 1, by the way, of Will It Paint, which is my new short series. Go check that one out as well, guys, because I will be reviewing painting products, well, paint specifically, in 1 minute or less. So that's going to be on my YouTube shorts. And hardened leather was the very first episode. I think we're up to episode 4 or 5 now. I need to release another episode on that, so that's a good reminder for that as well. But I'm going to hit hardened leather on this face covering, as well as his leg coverings here, his little leggings, I guess you would call them, leather leggings. Going to be hitting those with the hardened leather, and then I'm going to be hitting his kind of body tunic, whatever you want to call that thing, in a different brown color to get some variety in the midtones. And as you can see here, I'm making sure not to let the speed paint pool in any areas. This is the one thing you really got to watch for speed paints, contrast paints, any kind of transparent paint. I know Vallejo makes one as well too. I can't remember what it's called. Express something rather the other. I'm not sure. I don't use those paints. But anyway, you really don't want to let these things pool. And if you see them pool, you want to get a dry brush, not an actual dry brush, but a new brush, and just mop up the pooled area, because it just doesn't dry well, and you'll get some weird things happening with your model if you let the speed paints pool and then dry. So it's not advised. And at this point, this is the other brown color I was talking about, where we're going to be hitting his tunic with. This is snake bite leather, snake bite brown, snake bite leather, I can't remember. You saw it on the screen there, snake bite something or the other, and we're going to be applying that all over the torso area and his little draping parts. Like I said, just to get some variety in the browns. I also like this paint. This is a Citadel paint. You can see I usually repot most of my Citadel paints into these little squeezer containers I got off Amazon, just because I've spilled one too many Nuln Oil, and I don't appreciate a desk full of Nuln Oil anymore. I've scraped it off my desk far too many times to enjoy doing it anymore. So I tend to repot the Citadel paints. I also just like working from a few drops on a palette a little bit better than opening up the full container and working from the full container. So that's just my personal preference. It's my opinion. Now we're going to be taking some satchel brown, which is even more of kind of a deep brown color, and we're just going to be painting his holster, just because I thought that it needed a little bit of a different color brown still. So we're on our third color brown for the base coat. That's okay. I think this one it turned out okay, but I'm not a huge fan. Maybe I'll review satchel brown as my next one on Will It Paint, on my next paint. I do show this paint here. This is aged hide. Forgot to show it at the start, but I did show it. Aged hide to get his little snack on his belt there. And here we go. We have two different speed paint metallics. Sorry, one a bronze and one a silver paint. So we're gonna get both of his little tools there, I guess you would call them, and we're gonna go over them. And I have a few tricks up my sleeves with some weathering patterns for these coming up later, so stay tuned. Now I think this is Screaming Skull. We're going to be taking Screaming Skull, just picking out some of the details, such as his little bone necklace, which I'm not sure what kind of bones those are, maybe chicken bones. This is something I like to do with my Kroot that have a little tongue coming out of their mouth. I really like to get my brightest pink and a nice thin brush and just get as much of that pink on as I can, because I really think it's a little detail, but having a bright pink tongue coming out of that mouth just really makes everything pop and draws the attention towards the face, and I like it a lot. So I think this model is turning out very good. Has all the base coats on it. It just needs a few other details. I guess you could call this tabletop ready, almost, maybe. One quick tip I have here is if you've made any mistakes, like I've made some mistakes coming over onto the pommel of his little knife there, I'm going to be coming up and hitting it with some gray paint, just so that I could come in with a follow-up speed paint after, or a contrast paint, and then make it the color I want to paint it, which is Ratlin Grime. I think I hit both of those items in Ratlin Grime, which is a nice blackish brown contrast paint by Citadel. I usually make some of the different tools this kind of color, and then I dry brush it with a dark gray to give it a little bit of some edge highlighting, and that tends to work good. To work well, I should say. That tends to work well. This is some of the Ratlin Grime again. We're just going to come in and get his pommel. Horde Bronze is a nice speed paint metallic color that I like to use over, almost as a wash, over some base coats, and this is the first step in giving it a little bit of a weathered look. Now we're going to be shading. This model looks nice, but it needs some contrast. We're going to be putting Nuln Oil over some of the tools and some of the metallics, getting into the recesses of the model and creating your shadows. For the skin tone, we're going to be going with a greenish skin tone for the Kroot, which I've done several times on my channel in the past. I think this combo works really well, looks really nice. I also like, which I haven't shown before, the blue skin tone. So if you get a blue shade from the Army Painter or Citadel and you put that over the skin tone, I think that looks phenomenal as well. But this is the green. One thing I don't like is not letting your creative side show through when painting these models. I think that's really important, and I think the Kroot allow for a lot of creative flow and customization to make it your own, right? You don't want to be painting the same thing everyone else has painted for the last 20 years. You want to paint something that you come up with and that you like. So I stick to that. Not that you can't do that with anything else, because you can do whatever you want, but I think it's a little bit more lore friendly that the Kroot have some flexibility in the way they look. Okay, now here we are applying marine wash. Now let me know if you guys want me to review marine wash on Will It Paint. Maybe I'll do a little painting demonstration for it and show you how I made the wash itself, but this is just a wash mixed with Army Painter Strong Tone. I believe there's some Reikland Flesh Shade in there and a bunch of contrast medium. So nothing special to it. It's kind of an all-around wash I've used when I want to be quick and easy, just for painting them very fast, speed painting them, whatever you want to call it. This is what I use, and I think it produces some good results. Same thing though goes with the speed paints and the contrast paints. You can't let this stuff pool in large areas. So as you can see, I'm coming back with a little bit of a clean brush, or a brush that I've wiped off, and I'm just kind of mopping up the areas where a lot of the shade has settled, right? You want it in the recesses, but you don't want it to pool in areas, because then it just looks not so good. So learn from my mistakes. And you can see specifically, as soon as I applied it to that skull there, that it really brings out the details. Obviously that was a perfect example of how shading works. Maybe I should do a kind of a expert tutorial on how shades should be applied, where I think people make the most mistakes when they're shading their models, right? But you can see as that skull is a perfect example of why shades can really be used as a benefit in a short period of time to produce high quality miniatures, because I just applied a little bit of shade in 2 seconds to that skull, and you can see all the details and the recesses instantly came out. So as it stands, I think this model definitely is tabletop worthy at this point. A few things you might want to do, well, besides the terrain, of course, it's tabletop ready, but a few things you might want to do additionally are some highlights. So I take some dry rust effect paint by the Army Painter, or fresh rust, I can't remember. There's two different ones. And I just simply grab a dry brush and I apply it in a stippling pattern across the tools. The way I see it, these Kroots have been using these tools for a long time. It's not every day that you get a new knife or a new tool that you can use, right? So these are well used by the Kroot, and they're gonna show it. So now I'm gonna take the brightest orange I have and apply some highlights to his quills, or his hair, whatever you want to call it. Like I said before, I think this step is very important for the simple reason that it really makes the model pop. I think adding this highlighting step, this really, really bright orange over the speed paint orange, really makes everything pop and really come together, draws the eyes towards the head of the model, and specifically because this model has such long quills that it really makes a difference. It'll stand out in not so good lighting, which I find, you know, on the tabletop, that's what everything is. It's not really great lighting. You'll be able to see these quills from across the table, so that's perfect. Another edge highlighting technique that I'm using here is just with a dry brush. I'm taking a dry brush, some Angor Flesh, which is kind of my go-to brown-ish highlight, and I'm going to be taking most of the paint off with the dry brush, and then just going over the areas, being careful not to put the skin or anything like that, going over the browns, giving this a little bit of an edge highlight. Now I'm going to be going over the terrain. So there's a funny story with this paint. So this is Ruddy Fur. This was actually a defective paint sent to me by the army painter. So I guess that when the speed paints kind of get too cold, the pigments really kind of congeal up and they get separated from the medium or the liquid. I'm not sure what the technical term is. But it's visible pigments, they kind of group up and they don't look very good when they dry. It's very pigmenty when they dry, and where you can see they've kind of grouped together. Anyway, what I'm trying to explain is that it didn't come very well from the army painters, so they've replaced it for me. They've sent me the paint, they've sent me the money for the paint, but I want to use this paint. I'm not big into wasting, so I'll use this paint in the terrain when it comes to terrain. So that's what you saw me put down on as mud color. Then I'm going to be coming back with a simple wash to go over the rocks. Once I've put a little too much wash by the looks of it, by the way. And then once we are done that, I'm going to be painting the rim, and then we're going to be calling this a finished model. Once again, guys, I hope you're having a good holiday season. Please like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. I got big plans for the channel. Will It Paint and my regular painting tutorials are all going to be coming up. Got some other good plans as well. This does take a few coats, by the way. You can see me struggling to paint the rim with this brown color. But as you can see, I did eventually manage it. So thank you guys. Have a good day. Take care.